Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to coverage of the 2023 Shizuoka Hobby Show. This is going to be part 2 of 3 just because there's so much stuff to talk about. If you guys missed part 1, you can feel free to go back and check that out later. In part 1, we focused mostly, well, entirely just on all of Bandai's new stuff that they have coming out. There was a lot to go over, and there was actually a couple things that I missed. So just on that note, there was a couple of new entry grade character model kits, and also I think there's a new Figureize version of Vegeta, Figureize standard Vegeta kit that I also maybe forgot to mention about. But other than that, I think I got everything, so there was a lot of stuff. And in this video, there is a lot of stuff to talk about from Kotobukiya. So we're just going to be talking about everything from Kotobukiya. I've got it kind of separated, so there will be time codes down below. We're going to be talking about all of their kind of mecha related stuff, and that would include stuff like Hexa Gear, M.S.G, the new Teien series is coming out, and a bunch of other different random things. You guys may have seen some stuff online, but there was a lot of various stuff coming out, so make sure you just kind of, unless there's something in particular that you want to see, you can use the time code down below, but I would recommend just kind of hanging out through the entire episode because there's a lot of different various stuff coming out from Kotobukiya. And then we'll talk about their more kind of female mecha models, the Mecha Musume style model kits like Megami Device, Arcanadea, Frame Arms Girl, stuff like that. So we'll get into everything here today. And then in part 3, we'll get into talking about stuff from Good Smile Company, Max Factory, Aoshima, Hasegawa, etc., etc. There's more stuff, but kind of less of that from different companies that I'm going to talk about. So getting right into it, I want to start off with some stuff that I honestly just don't have a whole lot of familiarity with, so you guys will have to forgive me on that. I'll show you guys what it is. I'll tell you what it is. If you guys know what it is, if you're excited about it, that's awesome. And I mean, the model kits look great, but let's get right into it here. The first one is the Dino Geist. This one is, yeah, something that I don't have any familiarity with it, but it looks like a pretty wild model kit. It's got the swords. It's got this kind of like bull horn kind of theme going on with the horns on the head, horns on the knees, these big cannons that fold out of the knees, and everything else as well. So that looks pretty cool. That one we do have the full color images there of that. And then one more that we do have full color images for here is the X-Kaiser, the Great X-Kaiser Gold version, sorry. The inner parts, like the mechanical parts, the frame sort of as it were, the joints and everything, look like they're in all molded gold, but then all the armor and everything is in this plated gold, so this is probably going to be a bit more of an expensive kit. Hopefully it's all undergated. I don't know if I've ever built any kind of plated kits from Kotobukiya if they typically do undergating on kits like that, but on a kit like this, I mean, you would really hope that a lot of that stuff is undergated because it looks great, but you know, you just hope that there's not going to be any kind of nub marks on something like that. But I mean, if you want like a big flashy super robot looking gold plated mecha model kit, that looks pretty cool, I gotta say. All right, a couple things that we also have here. We got prototype images of the Great Ban Gan, and this one also has a pretty cool theme to it. Once those wings are expanded out, it has a really cool look with the expanded wings and like the eagle or hawk, whatever kind of theme that's got going on. So that looks quite interesting. And then we've got the Dagarn and GX parts. So this one, I guess, is part of a series. And again, I'm sorry that I don't know any more about it, but you can see there's one image that shows it with some other releases. So I know that those are some other releases that have come out from Kotobukiya, those other ones. So this is a addition to kind of this line, I guess, or this series of kits from Kotobukiya. It does look pretty nice again, but those of you guys who are interested, I mean, if there's anything more that you guys can maybe tell me about that, feel free to let me know down in the comments. But that's kind of it for that like super robot type stuff. Now let's talk about some Megaman or Rockman, depending on your preference for that. But here in the US, of course, we know it as Megaman. Megaman is also something that I'm only vaguely familiar with. I'll tell you guys, I've not ever really played the games all that much. I'm not super familiar with Megaman, unfortunately, but I can tell you that this first one here is the Megaman 11 version of Megaman, and it looks very cute. So we have the full color images here of this, and the kit looks really nice. I've never built any of Kotobukiya's different Mega Man kits, although they do look really nice, and I've heard good things about them. It's just that it's just not a particular series that, like I said, I don't have too much experience with it, but I should definitely check one out at some point in the future. Aside from that Mega Man 11, we've also got prototype images here of, this would be Roll EXE, and this one is not in full color, unfortunately, so I don't know what the colors are for this. I'll have to look it up, but I mean, the model looks nice. I'm interested to know like what the color scheme is going to be for it, but the kit, again, like with the Mega Man, looks very cute, so that'll be a nice addition for you Mega Man fans. And then there is also prototype images here of Axel as well. This one comes with handguns and a pretty mean look to it. kind of different from the cuter look that we saw for the other 2 releases that we have prototype images for on the way. And another thing, I should tell you guys that unless otherwise noted, we don't have prices or release dates for most of this stuff that we're going to be talking about. If there is, I'll let you guys know. But most of this stuff is probably going to be coming out later towards the end of the year, if not beginning of next year, something like that. It just kind of depends. Stuff from Kotobukiya, usually we kind of know about it much farther in advance, and then we'll kind of see about it for a while before it finally eventually comes out. So this stuff you can expect is probably a little bit further away down the line, and even more so for these last couple things here from the Megaman line. We have the Max Armor Triad Thunder version here from Megaman X. All we have is just this one kind of artwork image here of that, but it's got that cool cannon arm. And then we've got Black Zero, also from Megaman X there. So I think that that's one that's probably going to be one of the more popular ones with a lot of you guys, as I believe that's just kind of like a different color version of a previously available kit, Megaman Zero, I want to say. But again, it does look pretty cool. The hair and sword combination with like that black color scheme, I think should make for a pretty cool looking kit. Alright, so that's it for our Mega Man stuff. Now we're getting it into Hexa Gear. So there is a lot of Hexa Gear stuff to talk about. And the first thing is just going to be some of the new Hexa Gear booster packs. So these are kind of like M.S.G sets from like their M.S.G line, but they're kind of more substantial. And so we're getting sets 7, 8, 9, and 10. And these all can go together to make the Blockade, which is kind of this big beetle-looking mecha thing. So the different sets, the one set is sort of like a thorax, I believe it's called. It's like the back end of like the bug, and so it's like kind of like this big kind of booster unit sort of looking thing. Other part is like the head, where it has this kind of lance, kind of javelin weapon on there, and then it's basically like a cockpit. You can put one of your governors seated inside of there. One of the other sets is basically your mechanical bug legs, where you've got 6 of these legs that you can either use on a mecha like this or attach them onto whatever, however you might want to use those. And then there is a weapon set. So the weapon is basically just this big long rifle and long sword that you could use with something like the V-Thor, for example, or other different stuff from Kotobukiya or anything else really. Or you can use it there together, like I said, to make the Blockade. Now, there is also a Blockade Ivy coming out, which is just a different color version of that. This is coming out as a Kotobukiya webshop exclusive. For those of you guys who don't know, Kotobukiya has webshop exclusives, which is similar to like Bandai's P Bandai line, except the Kotobukiya stuff, it's usually just recolors. It's not normal that they would have something that's like a completely original kit or anything like that, like what Bandai does sometimes with their P Bandai stuff. So Kotobukiya's webshop exclusives, like in this case, is just a different color version of the Blockade there. But there is also the Gertrude, which is kind of another variation of that has these kind of cool energy effects for like the wings and these blades at the front. It looks quite interesting. I don't know what the color is going to be ultimately for that right now. It looks like all we have is just a grayscale prototype for that at the moment. But again, pretty cool design with it being this kind of big, bulky kind of beetle tank sort of design. It's quite interesting. I think it looks pretty cool. And on the note of big bulky stuff, we've also got a new version of the Bulk Arm. The Bulk Arm Lambda is coming out, and this one is quite interesting. Kind of looks very similar to the V-Thor in that it's like a mecha suit that is piloted by a governor inside of there. And of course, like all of the Hexa Gear stuff, looks very highly customizable by being able to add different stuff to that or swap out different parts and things like that, of course. We've got a new version of the Rayblade Impulse. This one is the Rayblade Impulse Reloaded that's going to be coming out. So kind of very similar to the original one and then the most recent one that we've had out. This one can like transform into this kind of like motorcycle that your governors can ride on, or they can just ride on it as like the mecha itself. And this one has the effect parts and everything. So it's kind of like the ultimate version, I guess, sort of the Rayblade Impulse. So this one looks really cool. As you guys have maybe seen here on my channel, I've reviewed a couple of different variations of this model kit, and I like it a lot, so I can highly recommend it for you guys. If you've not tried the Hexa Gear line, I would really recommend trying out one of the versions of the Rayblade, because it's a lot of fun. Very cool one there. Last thing is a little bit different here. It's the Hexa Gear Made Clear Sana-chan, and this one's coming out in spring of next year, so quite a ways away. But this one is, I guess it's going to be a model kit. It's of this little kind of chibi character. Yeah, and I guess it's going to be a model, I suppose. But it's this little chibi character that I don't know, is somehow related to the Hexa Gear line. I don't know. I'm sure they put out some more information about this somewhere, so if you guys heard any more about that, I've just been kind of trying to gather up as much information as I can for these videos for you guys, and there's honestly quite a lot of stuff. I didn't see what the kind of backstory is for this particular character, kind of for Kotobukiya, but that'll be coming out next year as this little chibi kit, I guess, that you can get, which is a Hexa Gear kind of mascot character, I suppose, somehow. So, all right. Next up, let's talk about some M.S.G stuff. First of all, this is not exactly M.S.G, but this is their variable frame system, which I think is sort of technically kind of in the M.S.G line, but it's their variable frame system 02 Garuda Gear Diablo. Now, if you guys missed my review of the first Garuda Gear last year, it was one of my favorite kits that I built last year, to be totally honest with you guys. I loved that kit, so I'm very much looking forward to this new version. I gotta say, I don't know if I'm really necessarily a fan of the theme of this one with like the red kind of Diablo scheme for it. It's not the direction that I would have gone, but again, it is such a great kit that I'm definitely looking forward to building another new version of that. We had a few images come out of just the prototype of it, but then we do have a couple of full color images there which show like the effect parts and everything for it, so it does look pretty cool. I'm looking forward to building another one of those. Other M.S.G stuff here will be the Virtual Style 03 pole arm weapon set. Now this one is, I guess, a set of 3 of these. I'm not sure if it's the case where you like get one handle and then like the different parts for like the blade at the top and at the bottom end of that, and you can just kind of swap those and you can choose whichever ones you want, or if you're actually going to be able to make all 3 with this set. I'll have to double check. I guess once this is closer to release, we can see more in detail about it. But those do look like some pretty cool polearm style weapons there. Next up, we've got a couple of heavy weapon units in the M.S.G line. So the first one is Unit 36, which is a laser cannon, which looks really awesome. This one looks like it's going to be great for a lot of different stuff in the line, for like frame arms, for the Kotobukiya's Armored Core series, which we'll talk some more about that here in just a minute, or really kind of just about anything, really. As you can see, they show a number of different examples here for the laser cannon, but it looks like it's going to be a really cool weapon, so I'm definitely looking forward to picking up that one and trying to figure out something cool to do with it, essentially. Next up, we've got set 37, which is the Combat Cell. I guess that's sort of maybe short for like Ransel? I'm not exactly sure, but it's this kind of like big block, which I guess looks like kind of like a guitar case or something along those lines, but it's actually a few different things that kind of all combine into one thing. So you can make like a number of different weapons with this. You can make like a backpack, a couple of like SMGs, a couple of handguns, and there's like a connection arm for that, also a bazooka, so you can separate it out into like a number of different weapons. So it looks like that will be really cool to play around with like your female Mecha Musume style kits, or again, whatever you want, really. And the last one is the Set 38 Holonic Arms, and this one is some kind of like, I guess, sort of more dark kind of themes, and they're showing this quite a bit here with the Susanoo Regalia, which we'll talk about more in just a moment as well. But kind of very like fantastical, edgy kind of theme here to this weapon set, which includes like a great sword, a polearm, a couple of smaller swords, like I guess kind of like normal sized swords, and then a bunch of different like connection parts and stuff like that that you can use with that set. So that's all the M.S.G stuff. Let's move right along then to MuvLuv. So we've got quite a number of different releases here that were announced and shown there from MuvLuv. So the first one is going to be the Fukubi Blast Guard. Now, at first when I saw this, I thought this was just a like option set that you could get for them, but I guess this is going to be a full release here. And what this is specifically interesting about this, of course, is the equipment on the top of the shoulders, which is these big missile packs that kind of open up, and they do look very cool. So that one looks quite interesting. We also got the Take Mikazuchi. This is the version 1.5 of that. This one is going to be a web shop exclusive. And this one also has a really cool color scheme to it. Again, if you guys have not built any of the MuvLuv kits, I would highly recommend checking one of them out. These ones that we're going to be talking about here today are all the non-scale ones, which are kind of, even though they're non-scale, they're kind of they're the larger scale ones. So Kotobukiya makes some smaller scale and larger scale ones. And in my experience building the smaller scale ones, they were not near as nice as the larger ones. So any of these larger ones would definitely be worth checking out. We also have the Fukubi Japan Imperial Specifications. It's another kind of version of that. Again, cool color scheme here with the all gray color scheme and just like the little blue accents on that. Well, that one does look really nice. And then the last thing is a very chunky boy, the Gekishin. This one we just have prototype images for, so I'm not sure what the color scheme is for this. I believe there actually was a color illustration image, but no, I don't have that here on hand. Anyway, a very chunky looking release here for that line, so if that's what you guys are into, that does look pretty cool. It looks like it has some really interesting detail parts and stuff on it, so that's going to be a nice addition to the MuvLuv line. All right, moving on then to just a few other different things here. So I mentioned the Titanomaquia series here. This is like a series that's designed by Naoki, and Kotobukiya is going to be behind the production of the like character model kits, and I believe Aoshima is making the mecha models from this series. I haven't seen any news or updates about that, but we do have two of them that are announced here from Kotobukiya, the Gale Hound and the Strato Hound. Basically, it's like a male character and a female character. These are going to be model kits from that series. Quite interesting, and like the design of them is sort of reminiscent to like the new like figurized standard Ultraman kits kind of from Kotobukiya. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they compare, just like, you know, build quality wise, but you can kind of see a good amount just based on what you can see there of the images that we have of it so far, that it looks like it's going to be a pretty cool one, and definitely kind of unique from a lot of other different stuff. That's one of the reasons why I like the Ultraman kits from Bandai, is that it's kind of a unique build, different. It's not exactly like a giant robot, but it's not like a lot of the other like human stuff is typically like Mecha Musume stuff. It's girl characters. These are cool because they're like these sci-fi futuristic sort of a little bit sort of like cyberpunk styling here. For these, and this one does look really quite interesting, so I'm really looking forward to checking those out. Those have been in production for a long time, so it'll be great to finally be able to check those kits out. Up next, we do have the next in the collaboration with Kotobukiya and Maru Toys, so the Mamoru. This is something that we've already kind of seen before, but we're getting some more images here of this. There's going to be a black and a white version coming out, and then I can only assume that later in the future we're going to get even more versions, of course, of this. We'll probably get some sort of clear version and etc, but it does look pretty cool. I've really enjoyed all of the Maru Toys collaboration kits. The Tamotu, the Noseru, and have been really fun. Just kits to build up. They're kind of simple builds, but they're really nicely detailed, especially on the inside, like you can see with that one there. On the inside, they have a lot of really cool detail. Okay, and then the last couple things, like mecha related here, are teasers. So we have a teaser for the new Zoids HMM release, which is going to be the Gaisak. Interesting name, and this one I guess is going to be sort of similar to like the Death Stinger, as this is one is also like kind of scorpion themed, but that should be a pretty cool one to come out later. I've not built the Death Stinger, and so maybe I'll have to build the Gaisak. And the last thing here, which I know is going to be very exciting for a lot of you guys who are Armored Core fans, is that they announced that they will be making a new Fires of Rubicon Armored Core model kit. At least one. I don't know if they're going to make more than one. It's very vague at the moment, just the fact that there is a new Armored Core kit, at least one, in development from Kotobukiya, so look forward to that. Hopefully that means they will also reissue some of their previously released Armored Core stuff as well, whether it be, you know, kits or the weapons and stuff that they made for the Armored Core kits. So hopefully some of that stuff will get reissued, and then we'll get some new stuff as well, and it'll be a great time had by all who are Armored Core fans. Okay, so that's it for that stuff. Let's now take a turn into the Mecha Musume world here, starting off with the Arcanadea series. So we've got a couple of new things on the way. One of them is a color swapped new version here of the Lumatia, the original kit out in the line. This one is called the React-A, so sort of sounds like reactor. I don't know. It's basically like a black version of the Lumatia, and it does look very cool. I do really like the look of that. That one's gonna be a really cool looking kit once like in hand, I think, definitely. But then the next new kit that I think this one is the next one that we can expect is the Sofiera. And this one also does look really nice. It's kind of nice that Kotobukiya or any Mecha Musume production company that's making these type of models is finally branching out a little bit more, so finally, sort of, with their proportions, making this one at least a little bit slightly thicker. That's nice to see. Hopefully we'll see some more of that in the future, and we definitely will in this particular line, because we have this one that's coming out, and then we also have the Elena, which is a centaur girl, which should be quite interesting. This one's also a little bit different proportion than a lot of the Mecha Musume kits that we get normally, so that's also kind of nice to see. I'm not really that big a fan of the whole centaur aspect of this, but again, it's nice to see something unique, right? In a genre of model kits which is expanding rapidly, you know, it's nice to see unique stuff coming out as well, and Kotobukiya is definitely doing that here, especially with this particular series, but a lot of them. And so aside from those, we did also get a teaser image for a sixth model kit in this series, which is in the works, but there's not really too much to talk about at this point. It's just like this kind of very vague silhouette image there of that. So the sixth model kit release in the Arcanadea line will be coming out in the future, as if we couldn't guess that. But anyway, all right, let's talk about a couple of different things here. Crossframe Girl. So we had the Crossframe Girl Goldie Marg and Stealth Gao 2 parts. So this is going to be kind of similar how Bandai put out the RG Gao Gaigar and Goldie Marg as like separate releases. Kotobukiya is doing that kind of very similar thing here with this. We had the Crossframe Girl Gao Gaigar, and now we're having the Goldie Marg coming out as a separate set. I really like how that, because this is like basically just a accessory for the Gao Gaigar, that they made the girl character as just like this kind of little chibi kind of young girl character, I guess, sort of. So the images of that look like that's going to be a really fun kit. So that one looks very cool. We've also got the Frame Arms Girl Durga 2, which is on the way. That one I'm definitely looking forward to. That one will be really nice. The white and gold color scheme for that, very ornamental. It looks really nice there for that kit. That one's going to be a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the Frame Arms kit of the Durga too, so definitely looking forward to that one. Okay, then we have some Sousai Shojo Teien stuff here to talk about. A new character coming out in the Sousai Shojo Teien line is Koi Ishikawa Emma. So Emma-chan will be coming out in her summer uniform. It looks like we don't have any full color images of what color scheme the uniform is going to be in. It's all just prototype images so far for that, so I'm guessing that they're still working on the colors. But this one also sort of like a smaller character than the ones that have been out in the line so far, so I'm not sure if she's meant to be, you know, younger or just like a smaller in stature kind of character, I guess, in the line. But so that'll be interesting to give us some nice variation in that line, so that they're not kind of just like all looking the same with just like different hair and faces, essentially. So that'll be cool. I wonder how that'll affect the compatibility with them, though. I guess like any of the auxiliary accessories would of course be compatible because it just depends on the hand parts, but like the bodies and arms and legs may not be quite as compatible, I guess, with that. So, but it does look like a really nice addition. And then we have a couple of new swimsuit versions of Saeki Ritsuka. So there is going to be the swimsuit version of Saeki Ritsuka that's going to be coming out that has a kind of blue bikini and her typical blonde hair. But then there is also going to be a web shop exclusive version of that, which is the Dreaming Style Innocent Bloom version that has like a pink hair and white bikini and a little bit different skin tone, it looks like, as well, possibly kind of a little bit more tanner skin tone. So that'll be nice. I'm a big fan of that line. The line, again, I like it because it's something different, unique. It's like Mecha Musume kits just without the mecha part. So, you know, I like building the mecha kits, Mecha Musume kits, and then just Musume kits. Also nice. Those are really fun to build. So, okay, next we'll talk about some, let's see, Megami Device. Let's talk about Megami Device. We have the Megami Device Chaos and Pretty Grandma just coming out. Quite interesting here. So this one basically looks very similar to the Little Red kit. It's like a variant of the Little Red, where it has like a lot of those same parts, the wolf parts, especially for that. The body, I assume, is kind of mostly all going to be the same. A lot of it's just color swapped here, of course, but then it has a lot of new weaponry and stuff in there as well. So that looks like quite interesting. I'm not sure if that's going to be an exclusive or what, because I didn't really see anything about that at first, and then I just saw on their website they had some more information about that. So I'll have to see closer to the release date of that one, more details. And then we've got a new version of the AUV Susanoo. We got the Susanoo Regalia, which is coming out this autumn. This one looks really cool. We kind of saw this earlier talking about one of the heavy weapon sets from the M.S.G line, but this one looks very cool. Of course, it has this huge crown thing going on, much longer hair, and a lot of different parts here for this. So like most of the body, I can assume, is going to be the same, but almost everything else is going to be all new parts for this. So a bunch of new parts, including that new sword weapon that she has, and all of this kind of armor stuff, and all of the kind of parts that you can see, which of course, like is the theme with all of the Megami Device stuff, you know, it's all kind of interchangeable. So as you're seeing it now, this is just kind of how it's like quote unquote meant to be. This is how it's designed to be, but it's all of course designed to be compatible so that you can like switch parts around to here and there and customize it however you might want. So that's one of the great things that I particularly enjoy about the Megami Device line, is because they're made to be so customizable just with everything that you have in the box. Alright, up next then, let's talk about Kotobukiya's Megami Device X series, which is coming out. So we've got the first 4 kits that are going to be coming out in the X series. I would assume there's going to be more in the future as well, but at least for these 4, they look very interesting. This is probably one of the things that I'm most excited about everything that Kotobukiya showed this year. These look really cool. And if I'm going to be real honest with you guys, these look like they're a pretty direct kind of response to Bandai's 30-Minute Sisters line. So it really kind of seemed like Bandai made their 30-Minute Sisters line just to kind of get more into the Mecha Musume model kit game, which kind of Kotobukiya was and kind of has been and kind of continues to kind of dominate the Mecha Musume model kit genre. But Bandai really wanted to make some headway with that, with their 30-Minute Sisters line. This kind of seems like Kotobukiya striking back against that, like, oh, we can make stuff that looks very similar and we can still do it better than you kind of thing. So that's kind of how it appears to me. But anyway, these do look really nice. There's going to be 4 different kits, like I said, coming out, and they each have a different theme. One is the gunner, one is the tank, one is the paladin, and one is the knight. So you got just prototype images here of all 4 of those. They look great, and again, like the theme of these, and like I said, this is one of the reasons why, you know, and this is one of the reasons why I think that this is kind of a little bit kind of striking back against like 30-Minute Sisters, is how customizable these look. But that is not necessarily anything new. That's what Kotobukiya has kind of been all about for a long time in a lot of their series, and especially with the like Frame Arms Girl, Megami Device, everything like leading up to these, you know, have all been kind of about the compatibility between them, but these ones especially look like they are meant to be kind of very similar to 30-Minute Sisters in that they're very much meant to be cross-compatible, where you can kit bash and everything very easily with these. So those all look really cool. I'm definitely looking forward to them. That was kind of a number of the different big announcements that Kotobukiya had. That was one of the really big announcements. Another one was their new series of Unlimited Universe Megalo Maria. Kind of a convoluted name, I will admit, but this is a new kind of series. I don't necessarily want to call them like Mecha Musume, and they're not all Musume. There's a couple of characters that are like kind of female themed, and a couple of them that are like kind of male themed, I guess, sort of, or styled, I guess is a better word for it. But these seem to be, I guess they're sort of meant to be more like a kind of just robot, kind of android sort of thing. I don't know exactly what they're meant to be or what the kind of the story is with these yet. As all we have so far is just prototype images for some of these. So the ones that we have so far here are the Seeker, the Novice, the Mephist, the Principal, the Ruby Eye, and then we've got just illustrations for a couple of more that are going to be on the way after that. So it's quite the rollout of a number of these different kits that are going to be on the way. I don't think that these are all going to be released at the same time. We're probably looking at these being released like at least a month in between. So these are going to be a line that we're going to be seeing rolled out like in the distant future. So the first one's probably going to be coming out like towards the end of this year, and then so a lot of these, we're not actually going to have these model kits in hand for a long time, is what I'm trying to say here. But the line looks very interesting. I mean, it looks like they've kind of gone all in on making these like super articulated. As you can see, like a number of the poses that they're showing them in are like these really like quite super dynamic poses. And I think because of the fact that they're making these as like sort of more mecha and less on like the humanistic side of it, they're trying to make them just look like robots. They can make the joints in a way that, you know, if this was supposed to look like a human or like a person, then you can't make the joints look too obvious, right? Because making the joints looking so obvious or too much like just joints on a model kit, that doesn't look realistic like a human elbow. We all know how like an elbow looks, but if you make it look like a joint on a model kit, it looks unnatural. Whereas if it's just a robot, you can just make it look like a joint. And so you can do that, and you can make these super duper articulated just by leaning into just, okay, well, we'll just make them as robots, and then they can look like that. And I think it's going to work really well. These look awesome, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking out this line. I think this line is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, these again all kind of have a different theme to them. and so it'll be really interesting to get those in hand. The only real color image that we have is kind of like their big kind of poster display, which shows that they're going to be kind of mostly white with like gray joints and like one particular color as like the accent color. So like on one of them you can see like the accent color is orange, the other one the accent color is red. So if that's going to be kind of like what we can expect for the color scheme of them, and then also like the illustrations that we have, like the one is black with just a little bit of white, and then there's like a motorcycle that's going to be coming out as well for that, the Knights Superior. So these definitely seem kind of very robot, cyberpunk inspired, and I'm here for it. That line looks really cool. Definitely looking forward to it. Last couple things to talk about then. There's a couple of frame arms girl kits that are in development. One of them in particular here, like the Kagutsuchi, has been in development for a long time. I've seen this image before. It seems like years ago now, so this one's been in development for a long time. Another example of a much different body style for a Mecha Musume style kit, and I'm totally there for it. I hope that this one does eventually get made and that it actually does look like that, and that they don't kind of just slim it down to their kind of generic body style size. But we'll have to see. Hopefully that does eventually come out. But then we did also see a couple of other different ones here. The Shingen, which is obviously modeled after the Frame Arms Shingen model kit, kind of samurai sort of themed. And then the Wilbur 9, another Frame Arms kit there, which has a number of different variants for that one as well. Then we do also have an image here for a new cross frame girl. So this is the cross frame girl Gaofaigar. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is with that. It looks like kind of just like a little bit different colors mostly, kind of than the Gaogaigar. I don't really know too much about that particular series, so I couldn't tell you, but I can say that the new color scheme for that does look very nice. I do like the kind of a little bit more pastel kind of looking color scheme for that. So that's all stuff that, again, is probably a long ways away, but I'm looking forward to those releases coming out. And then last thing here, the Evangelion girl. So this is another thing that we saw teased, seems like a long time ago. So this one, if you look at like the kind of test box art that they have for this, interestingly enough, this one, it's like a Megami Device collaboration with Evangelion 2020, which if you guys remember all the way back to 2020, there was like a 2020 celebration kind of thing at the time. And so, yeah, this one has been in development for a long time, and hopefully we'll actually get some more updates about this soon, because it does look really cool. We do have a prototype here that you can see, and the prototype looks really quite nice. I guess this is supposed to be Thrice Upon a Time themed, so kind of themed after the Evangelion Unit 1 in the last of the Rebuild movies. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some more about that in the future, but that one is something that we've kind of known about for a while. And so I'm looking forward to some updates, hopefully in the near future. All right, guys, that's it for everything from Kotobukiya. Again, let me know in the comment section what are some of the things, what's the thing that you're most looking forward to, or what are some of the different various things you're looking forward to, because honestly, there's a lot of really great stuff coming out from Kotobukiya that I'm definitely looking forward to. The new Unlimited Universe Megalomaria series, the new Megami Device X series, those all look great. The new Arcanadea kits look awesome. There's a lot of really great M.S.G stuff coming out for different option parts and things like that, if you guys are into that. And I'll have to try out one of the Megaman kits, I think, at some point. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And of course, if you guys want to check out some other stuff from Kotobukiya, the link will be down in the video description below for USA Gundam Store. We've got all sorts of stuff from Kotobukiya, as well as other different model kits and paints and tools and supplies and all that stuff that you guys might be in the mood to shop for after an event like this. Kind of really gets your blood pumping. You really want to get into doing some model kits, and so this has been a pretty crazy event there, Shizuoka, this year. A lot of really great stuff to look forward to, and there's even more coming up in part 3, so stay tuned for that. We'll talk about, like I said, Good Smile Company, Max Factory, Aoshima, Artpla, Hasegawa, Volks, Kaviko, X Plus, and Gaia Notes. So a lot of really great stuff coming up in the next and final part of this coverage for Shizuoka Hobby Show 2023. Stay tuned, guys. Thank you all so much for your support. See y'all later.